So Dhara, are you here? You need to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
So, okay. Do you want to say something first about yourself? Like if I missed out on something, would you like to share something about yourself first?
That was so generous of you, Malvika. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. I think you have pretty much covered everything. And first of all, I would like to start by saying thank you to Team Udaan for having me here today. I'm so happy to be able to share my journey with all of you, and I hope you find some inspiration or some tips or something for yourself that you can take away from this session today.
I'm sure we will have a lot to learn. So, okay, first thing first, Dhara, when did you first learn about belly dancing as an art form? Like, what attracted you the most about it?
I remember this time around 15 years ago when I first watched a belly dancing video on YouTube. I don't know how I looked up for the video. I really don't remember, but I saw a belly dancer called Sadie, and she's actually one of the top belly dancers in the world right now. But I came across Sadie's video and I was just so intrigued because it just felt challenging. It felt mysterious. It felt beautiful. And I was just instantly attracted. And I started imitating her steps. And all the things that I couldn't do, I started practicing it in my bedroom, in my bathroom. I remember practicing belly rolls in an auto rickshaw because I just wanted to dance like Sadie. So she is the inspiration that got me started in belly dance.
Right. Okay. So basically she was your inspiration behind starting belly dancing. But how did you go about it? Like, it's pretty unconventional in India, as far as I know.
Right.
So, like, were your parents supportive? How did you start, how did you decide that you formally want to get into belly dancing?
When I started learning by myself, there was no belly dance teacher in India at that time.
Right.
So I just watched YouTubes, I watched tutorials, I found out whatever I could dig up from internet, and I started training myself. Until a few years later, when I was in junior college, that I came across a teacher called Veronica, who was from Brazil, but she was living in Mumbai, and she had started her own dance class called Baby Dance. So I inquired and I found out the closest branch, and everything was set. Now comes the difficult part of the permission from the family, right? So we all know how Indian parents are. I'm a Guju girl, so it was slightly challenging. My mom was convinced because she always supported me in all my endeavors and whatever I did, but it was slightly more challenging for my dad.
Right.
So my mom and I just made a plan that, I'm just going to learn very basic and then I'm not going to do it anymore. So my dad was like, okay, you're only going to learn the basics. I don't want you to perform or anything like that. And then I agreed. But the training ultimately went on for 6 years. From just promising that I would learn the basics, the training went on for 6 years, and my family just kind of adapted, and they were just okay with it.
So when you were training, did you also perform in shows or they took part in competitions?
Not for the first 3 to 4 years because my dad did not want me to perform. Apparently, it said that in belly dancing you have to wear skimpy clothes. There's exposure of the body and things like that. That's just what I would say is like an assumption. It's not necessary to do anything like that, but it's how Hollywood and Bollywood movies portray it. That wasn't the case though. So initially I did not, and I also was lacking so much confidence in myself. I wasn't confident about my dance. I wasn't confident about my body. I really struggled. But after 4 or 5 years, after encouragement from my teachers,
your voice is
I decided to perform.
And just a second, I think somebody's audio is on. Neeti, can you please mute everybody? Neeti?
I've done it.
No, there's somebody who's Sashi, her mute. She's not on mute and her voice is disturbing, I guess.
No, everyone is on mute.
Okay. Dhara, I'm so sorry to interfere. Please go on.
That's okay. Yeah. So my first belly dance performance was a competition. Right. And I think I won the runner-up title then. And that really motivated me to train more harder and, perform more. And I found a way to channel my creativity by performing. So that is how I started. And since then, there has been no looking back.
So this competition was in India. I'm so sorry.
It was in India, yes.
So are there enough Bollywood? Like, I know there are so many multiple challenges, when it comes to Kathakali or Bharatanatyam as a dance form. There are many, events that goes on. Is it same for belly dancing over here? Like, do you have enough opportunities?
There are a lot. Now, belly dance market is growing exponentially. There are so many classes, so many events, workshops, and artists coming from the Europe. I know artists coming from Russia, Canada, US, everywhere. So there's a lot of opportunities in India.
Oh my God, that's something new to hear. Okay, so what is the job exactly like? Like, as a belly dancer, like, did you go through an agency or did you, manage yourself? Like, you were your own manager, artist, or something like that?
So there is no job per se in belly dance. I would say that you have to take more of an entrepreneurial approach. So you have to take care of all the aspects of it. You have to market yourself if you're teaching classes or workshop, or if you're invited to perform in an event, you have to make sure that you have a plan ready. You have to have your marketing materials in place. You need to promote yourself. You need to set everything up. So there's a lot of learning that happens. I did everything by myself. So first I started a duo company called Soul Gypsies with my friend Preeti. And then I also started venturing out solo. And there's another way where you can join a teacher who already has an established company. You can intern under him or her. You can work in their company, and then you can start your own. But I did not take that approach. I just jumped into doing my own thing.
So what would you like, which is a easier way? What would you say? Like,
having a mentor is always helpful, I would say, because if you're very new to the market, sometimes, your creativity and your skills aren't enough. You should know how to market yourself and create that package where people would be attracted and people would be like, oh, wow, she looks like a talented person. You know what? I want to go and train with her. So having a mentor always helps in all these aspects. And I feel like I did not have a mentor in all these aspects. So it was a little bit of a learning curve. But it's not so difficult. I feel like having a growth mindset is important. If you're open to learning about new things, then you can definitely do it by yourself.
So, okay, your parents were accepting, but when you told it to your friends and people around you, your society, your classmates and everybody, were they accepting, just as accept? Did they take it seriously? Like, did they take it seriously as a career? Like, as a hobby, yes, but like, you to make a career in it,
A lot of people did not take it seriously, and there was a lot of judgment involved about me because they were like, why is she doing something like this? She is intelligent. She is a psychologist. Why does she need to do belly dance? And ultimately, some aspects of it was also reflected on my family, like, oh, why are Dhara's parents allowing her to belly dance? Things like that. But that is one thing that I learned from my mother. It's a lesson for life that I don't care about what other people say if I'm confident about myself.
Right.
If I feel like I'm capable of doing something, I would not care about how the society would look at me, because the reality is I cannot change that. Because if there are thousands of people, there will be thousands of eyes, thousands of mindsets, and it's impossible for one person to change it. So instead, I chose to shift my focus on my art, on my creativity, and how I can take this forward and maybe even help the society get rid of the prejudice that belly dancing is a sensual art form, it's not a nice thing to do, and just other things that is just surrounding this beautiful art form.
So Dhara, tell me something. You can say that now that you're successful, but while you were starting out, I'm sure you had your own fair share of insecurities and everything, right? So what did you do then? Like, how did you deal with people's judgment then? Like, so looking back, I'm sure like, you wouldn't have had the confidence you have now, right? So like, did you do anything? There was something like, did you have any setbacks? Did you ever thought about giving up belly dancing? Just, How
I
did you deal
really
with
did.
them? You were not that confident and you were still insecure about things.
Right. That was actually a big part of my journey, as how I've transformed as an individual, because I wasn't confident about the way I looked. I wasn't confident about my body. I thought I am plump. I thought I was too dark. I did not have the confidence to do anything. I always thought that I can shine on stage. And my friends, and especially my mom, really helped me overcome that insecurity. And she is one of the biggest inspirations in my life. She always told me that, Dara, you know what? If you think that you're not good enough, try to be good enough and set an example for other people that you don't have to fit in a certain mold. We feel that belly dancers look like Nora Fatehi, with a nice, sexy figure and white skin and beautiful hair. But you know what? I'm going to tell everyone that is not the case. Don't give a damn about it. If you feel confident in your skin, however you are, I think you can really shine on stage. And one of my friends, Preeti, I think she's an inspiration for so many Indian women because she's very curvy. And the way she dances on stage, she just shines. She doesn't care about how curvy she is. She doesn't care about how people judge her. And she has also been a big motivating factor in my life. And that has changed a lot of perceptions around me. In my journey as a belly dancer in India, a lot of people found that very inspiring, that how Indian people judge beauty, the beauty standards are so different than how it is in the West. I kind of try to break every mold possible.
So I was talking when you mentioned West, are there any cultural differences did you notice when it comes to belly dancing? Are people over there more accepting, or is it the same prejudice over there as well?
The mindset about belly dancing is pretty much the same because people don't know about the history of how belly dancing came into this world and why it is what it is right now. So people here also feel like belly dancing is sensual, it's sexy, it's used to please men, which is not the case. So I just want to take a minute to say that belly dance here is it's a fertility ritual. So it originated in Middle East. It originated in Egypt. And a mother used to teach her daughter belly dancing to prepare her womb to give birth, because it focuses a lot on the abdominal muscles, on the pelvic muscles, and it helps girl to strengthen the womb. It helps all the other feminine problems like period problem and PCOS, and there has been a lot of research that has backed that. So that is how belly dancing originated. And as the sultans were on a rise in the Middle East, the harems who performed dances for the sultans, they thought that belly dancing was sensual, and if they danced it for the king, they would get money and they would get price from the sultan. And that is how, from a fertility ritual, it kind of went through an evolutionary stage to being like a sensual art form. And Hollywood popularized it even more by putting more sensual costumes in play, like bras and skirts with slits and backless tops and things like that. And that is how belly dancing is generally pursued all around the world.
Right.
Which is not the case. So if you go back to the history, it was a beautiful ritual. And that's what I strive to tell people, that it's not just what we see. It's not just what Nora Fatehi shows, or it's not just any Bollywood actor shows. It's so much more than that. So here people are very open to belly dancing because I find that they are more progressive and they're more accepting and they're willing to listen to what I have to say. It was slightly a bit of a struggle in India, but I feel like things are really shifting from when I started to what it is right now. Things are really shifting for good.
Right. So you think it's possible to have a successful career in India as well? Like if somebody wants to stay in India and have a successful belly dancing as a career, you think there are possibilities?
Absolutely. You can be successful in belly dancing anywhere in the world if you have the mindset for it, if you are ready to grow as an artist, if you are willing to learn, because more than the technical and creative aspects of belly dance, which can be learned, the more difficult thing is training your mind, because it's not always easy. You have to train your mind to be okay with people's judgment. You have to train your mind to accept yourself. You have to train your mind to grow more and learn more from your failures. And you just got to get rid of all the negativity around you. You just got to work through it. And then you just got to create your own opportunities. That is, I would say, the mantra of success for belly dance anywhere in the world.
That's some really valuable advice. Okay, Dhara, before we jump on to the next question, I would like to show your video, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Start. Can we coordinate that, please? That was amazing.
Thank you.
Can you see me? Yes, right? Yeah. Okay. So, okay, you talked about the mental strength that's required, right? So, I also wanted to know what are the physical strengths that you would say, like, you know, how do you have to prepare your body as for a belly dancer? Because I know it's quite intense to do so.
Right.
So, like, you know, what are your advice on that?
I would say you need to train yourself every day, because belly dancing is a difficult art form. You need to train muscle groups very differently compared to salsa or Bharatanatyam. We use a lot of different muscle groups in belly dancing. So
Right.
to get that isolating movement, to get that fluid movement, you need to train your muscles. So as we call in the more dancey terms, it has to be memorized by your muscles. We call it the muscle memory. So you have to practice till you form that neurological pathways in your brain that would help form muscle memory in your body. So my training was very intense. I used to do 3 hours of workout every day and then an hour and a half of belly dance. So it was quite intense. Sometimes it used to be more than that. Other than that, I always made sure that I had clean food. I had everything. I enjoyed occasional McDonald's, I enjoyed occasional Domino's, but most of the time I tried keeping my food clean and just training my body, training my mind for this.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, so you also practice yoga, right? So
That's
is
right.
this a way to calm your body because the thing that because belly dancing gets too intense, or is it just something that another thing you're passionate about?
My journey as a yogi has also been actually quite interesting. And yoga, besides calming down, it also has a lot of other spiritual, mental, and physical benefits. Like there's Ashtanga yoga that I practice a lot, which gives me the physical strength and the stamina to keep performing on stage, even if it's for an hour as a stretch. Then
Right.
I use it to calm my muscles, to kind of heal my muscle soreness. And I also use it as a medium to connect to my body even more deeply. So it's about having the awareness about the body, having the awareness about the movement that I get through yoga that really helps me in my belly dancing as well.
So tell me something, like, you've done belly dancing that requires a lot of hard work. You've studied psychology that I know requires a lot of time and effort. So how did you manage both of that together? Like, did you take a break from belly dancing for a while when you were pursuing your degree, or like, how did you manage it?
I haven't taken a break from belly dancing since 11 years, I would say. It's been quite an intense journey. I remember I had tours coming up where I was traveling to China, to Turkey, to US in the middle of my master's degree and my bachelor's degree. And it was quite challenging because, especially during my master's degree, I was working in a municipal hospital in the psychiatric ward, and I was looking at patients for 5 hours at a stretch. I used to go home and relax and prepare the case files, and then sometimes I had performances in the evening or training in the evening. So that was very intense. So two things that really helped me was first time management. It is very essential skill to have as an artist, as a belly dancer, as a musician, or even just as an individual, is time management. I prepared my schedule in a way that nothing is compromised. My work as a psychologist isn't compromised. My work as a belly dancer isn't compromised. My role as a daughter, as a sister, nothing is compromised. So I manage my time very efficiently and also prioritizing. So I always made sure that when I'm working as a psychologist, I am a psychologist and no other part of me or my personality is there when I'm seeing patients. And then when I'm a belly dancer, no psychologist, no daughter, no sister, nothing is in the role when I'm belly dancing. So prioritizing is important, and you really need to kind of figure things out and put yourself in different boxes, and kind of how I would say is like changing your roles. It's like you're an actor playing different characters at different times in your day or in your life even. So that really helps, you know, that just changing the roles. When I'm with my family, I try to be like 100% with my family. When I'm belly dancing, I try to be 100% in belly dancing. When I'm a psychologist, I immerse myself completely in that.
That's amazing. So would you say, like, you know, any part of this, like, you know, if being a psychologist helped you with belly dancing, or being a belly dancer helped you in some way with your studies, or like, you know, is there a connection between the two?
There definitely is, because I used to have a lot of stressful work in the hospital, especially because of my specialty. I used to work with a lot of patients who had severe mental health problems like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, all these things. So it really used to stress me out. And belly dancing was also a way to just decompress myself, just to get myself out of that zone and just kind of get in touch with my own self, with my own body, release the stress. And it has also helped me with my mental health a lot, because I was going through a very severe depression when I was doing my master's degree. And it was quite bad. And belly dancing really, really helped me get through that difficult journey in my life.
So, okay, you come across as a really confident speaker, okay? So, like, did you train for that? Did belly dancing help you with that? Like, what's the secret of your confidence? Like, you know, how are you so confident? What made you gain the confidence? Was it the eventual success that you know, that followed, or because you were so confident you think the successes followed? Like,
I had zero confidence. Although I love performing on stage, even when I was in school, I've done a lot of dramatics, I've done a lot of music and dancing in school, but somewhere I still felt very underconfident about myself, even though I knew I was a good speaker. That is a skill that I really worked on. I had to polish that a lot. And the biggest thing that I told myself is, it's okay if I goof up. It's okay to make mistakes. We are not perfect. And that actually helped me really feel confident about myself. Even today that I'm talking, maybe I would have made mistakes, but you know what? We are only human in the end, and it's okay. So the only thing I do is I just be myself. I allow myself to make mistakes, and everything is good. I don't know about how my speaking skills and success have gone together, but from what people have told me, I feel that they just feel very comfortable talking to me and approaching me, which I feel is a very good thing, right? If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a dancer, and people find you approachable, I think that's an amazing thing.
That's really amazing. Okay, tell me something. Can you give us few tips about on-stage performances? Like, what was there a ritual that you followed before going on stage and performing?
The only ritual I followed is joke around. I remember how my friends, they used to be so nervous before performing, and I used to be nervous too, because it's a healthy thing, right? You have your neurotransmitters running in your head, you are nervous, your heart is beating fast, you have sweaty palms. But I just used to joke around. I just made sure that I'm showing off as if I'm confident. And when I go on stage, I just kind of disconnect myself from the world, and I just make my own world. I feel like I'm dancing for myself, and there is no one watching me. And I think that is the biggest advice I can give on how you can shine on stage, and that has really helped me.
What about the on-stage, some technical advices if you can share with us? Like, over the years, you have so much of experience. So as somebody who's new to belly dancing, what are the technical advices would you give to them?
The technical advice I would give to them is to be a good dancer or a good singer. You need to be a good actor, because as a performing artist, you are very expressive on stage. You are trying to show something to the audience. Like the fan performance I did, I wanted to show how I found my freedom, and that is shown by my body language, that is shown by my expression. So being present is very important. Working on your body language and your expressions and considering yourself as an actor is very important when you're a performing artist, especially in belly dancing, because you are trying to communicate with the audience. You're trying to connect with them and share something with them, your story or the song or the emotion you're feeling. So that part. Also, before performing on stage, you need to be technically strong, but that also shouldn't stop you from taking the plunge. So don't feel like you have to be perfect. If you're just confident in your technique, and even if you're not perfect, that's all right too. The thing is, you just need to get started and just be present. The interaction with the audience is the most essential thing. Otherwise, the audience would feel that, oh, she's just dancing for herself. We are not able to connect with this person.
Right.
So that is very important.
Hello?
Yeah.
So for a non-dancer, like, do you think someone can be, like, can train and be a good belly dancer, or is something that you have to be born with it? Like,
I would say you can. It's a skill that can be acquired. It's all the skills that we learn in the world is something that can be acquired with a lot of hard work and practice and patience. And I would say that if someone is a non-dancer, that's even better, because I feel like it's easier to write on a blank slate than on a slate that's already has a lot of marks on it, right? So I always encourage my students, who are nervous, who say that, oh, we don't have any background in belly dancing. I say that's even better. So you can actually grasp everything I say, because you don't have that preconditioned mindset where we have learned different things from different people and now you're all confused.
Dhara, you talked about belly dancing being a way of telling a story to the audience, right? So when you come up with the stories, like, do you come up with your personal life experiences, or that is something you you just imagine and you create it on your own, the concept of the story, like,
It's actually a culmination of everything. Sometimes it's the story that I think in my mind, that, oh, I want to represent this story. I want to represent a story of strength. Or sometimes it's from my own experiences where I have struggled and I want to share my story. Or sometimes it's just a mixture of both. It really depends on the kind of event I'm performing. Sometimes it's just purely entertainment, but sometimes I get an opportunity to act something out, act a story out. So I just go with whatever the event is, and I just culminate all my experiences together.
Can you give us an example of one such story that was inspired from your real life experiences or something like that?
The video that we just saw, it was from my struggle, because I remember how I felt. It was in August 2019 where I performed that song in the pageant. And I had moved to Canada only in March. And I just took the plunge. I moved all by myself. I had no family here. I had no one here to help me out. And I was so alone. And I went through a lot of struggles that an immigrant goes through. I was feeling lonely. I was missing my family. I felt a lot of freedom. It felt nice, but at the same time, it was a bit of a culture shock. I didn't know how to go about my life here. I didn't know what kind of work I wanted to do. I was just so confused. And that is when I decided to perform this on stage, because I presented my story on stage as a new immigrant who moved alone. And that dance was an opportunity for me to actually visually depict my story, how I felt as an immigrant in this new country.
So when you started, like, is it something about the belly dancing that you did not know when you started, but like, over the years you came to know, like, so that that came as a surprise for you too, like, oh my God, even this is something possible? Like, you know, a possibility or anything, like any shock that you were not aware of when you started with belly dancing?
One thing I really did not know is that I would need entrepreneurial skills. I thought that I'm an artist, I don't know how to do a business, I just cannot do it. You know what? I'm creative, and that is enough for me to have a career in belly dance. I was so wrongly mistaken. Like, it was terrible. It was a terrible experience when I started. I remember I organized a workshop where I expected so many people to come in, and I had 0 people. And I was so sad. I wanted to cry. And then I talked to a few of my friends, and I told them that, you know what, I think that I'm so good at this, but I don't know why no one turned up. And they said, how did you market yourself? I said, I just put up a post on Facebook. And they said, is that it? I said, yeah. And then that's when they told me that this is not enough in this world of social media, where people are really influenced by audiovisual mediums. I should use that to promote myself. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can do it, but ultimately the reality turned out to be that I needed those skills. So that was a bit of a learning curve for me. I had to inculcate a lot of entrepreneurial skills to market myself really well. So that is something that I did not expect. And I did not expect that I needed so much inner strength. I needed so much intrinsic motivation, because sometimes there are a lot of competitors. Sometimes people just don't like you. Sometimes people don't turn up. Sometimes I would expect something to be like that, but it doesn't turn out to be like that. So I needed a lot of intrinsic motivation to get going, which I did not expect I would need. I just thought, oh, I'm a good dancer and that is enough. So these are the 2 things that I learned.
So you told me the challenges that you faced while you wanted to pursue belly dancing, but once you became a belly dancer, you know, once you started doing events and everything, what were the challenges, like, you know, the job part of it, with respect to the job part of it?
The job part of it is just the demands of people they have on you. Sometimes, you know, there is a lot of restriction on your creativity. If I want to share something, and if I have a performance opportunity, they would be like, you know what, we don't want you to do this. We want you to make it more entertaining, or make it more jazzy, or we want you to dance on Bollywood songs. And that was very challenging for me, because I did not want to compromise my creativity and my principles just because someone else wants to make it more like Dilbar. You know, I really wasn't interested in any of that. So that was a big challenge. But it turned out to be okay. There are a lot of offers that I had to reject because of that. I decided to stick to my principles and really promote the true art of belly dancing instead of promoting whatever Bollywood has out there.
So you never tried in movies? Like, were you ever interested in trying for movies, or was you wanted to keep it strictly on stage?
I wanted to keep it strictly on stage. Although I did have some opportunities to work in music videos, but they didn't really resonate with me. I just like, doing live performances. Also, the industry in India at that time when I started, it wasn't very friendly with belly dancers, and there was other aspects of it where they would tease you, or they would pass lewd comments on you and things like that, and I just wasn't willing to do any of that. So I preferred live performances over that. And at that time, I was also pursuing my career as a model, which was more of a side hustle. I did not pursue my career as a serious model, but that was something that I was interested in more rather than doing any kind of movie.
Right. So that was pretty good. So what I wanted to ask was, are there any gender differences when it comes to belly dancing? Like, you know, there are few art forms that are, you know, equal for men as well as women. But when it comes to belly dancing, it is seen more of us as a woman's dance form. So what do you have to say about that?
I have a few friends who are in India and who are male belly dancers, and they definitely face a lot of prejudice, I would say, because there's still not a lot of acceptance for the queer community. Male belly dancers, they're still looked down upon.
Right.
As compared to here in Canada, people are more open to that kind of a thing. But in India, I know a lot of people kind of face that judgment. But I would say that things are really changing, because one of my very good friends, Arun Bhardwaj, he's an amazing belly dancer, and he's actually inspiring a lot of males to take up this dance form, because belly dancing is a way of celebration more than it being feminine or sensual. It's just a way to celebrate. So whatever makes you feel comfortable, if you are comfortable expressing yourself through belly dancing, you should do it. If you are comfortable expressing yourself through salsa or hip hop, there should be no gender differences or gender biases that hip hop is only for men, belly dancing is only for women. I think our mindsets need to expand, and India is changing quite a lot. It's changing the mindset in a big way. It's making a difference. So I'm really happy, but there's still some kind of prejudice that's present.
Okay, so there's one question from our audience.
Okay.
It is well known in the field of dance that the span of a professional career is short in years compared to most other professions. How do you look forward to it?
I have actually got that question a lot, and whoever asked it, that's actually a really amazing question. It really depends on how you go about your journey and how you're publicizing yourself, how you're marketing yourself, how you're following the trends. A lot of people, if they just stick to the old patterns, you know, we are evolving every single day. I remember when I was in school, there was Orkut, and then there was Facebook, and then there's Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. So you know how we have evolved from that time to this time. Now imagine in the time where TikTok is so famous, if I would have stuck to my Orkut, you know, I wouldn't have been able to be here. So it really makes a difference, right? So you really need to up your strategy. You really need to work on yourself. You really need to work on how you're marketing yourself and cater to the audience and how the evolution of the audience mindsets are happening. So that can keep you going.
That's very. Do you people have more questions? Like if you're okay with taking questions from the audience.
Absolutely, please ask away.
Okay, Parth has an interesting question. What keeps you so grounded even after so much success at an early age? That's right. You're quite young, and you have pretty much achieved a good deal. So you know what keeps you so grounded.
The thing that keeps me grounded the most is just understanding that success does not define who I am internally. It's something that I choose to keep away from how I feel. Obviously, I do celebrate my success if I've gotten an interview, if my video is famous, or if there's anything like that. I do celebrate little things, but I always choose to keep it separate from who I am as an individual. So I really don't let it affect my mindset. Because otherwise, if I'm absorbed by success, I think that I would stop working hard and just roll in that feeling because it just feels so good. It's like a temporary gratification. So, okay, I celebrated my success, amazing, but now I still have to keep going because I'm not where I am yet. And my mother has been an amazing source of inspiration. And even my fiance, Ryan, he's right there. He also inspires me so much. So they are the two people that really keep me grounded.
That's really amazing. Okay, Parth has another question. With success, there comes a lot of criticism too. So how do you deal with that? Like, you know, do you still face criticism? Like, do you still face criticism? Are there still people who criticize you? You're like, you know, do you still face personal attacks as a belly dancer?
I face quite a lot of personal attacks on regular basis. And to be honest, it does affect because in the end, we are human beings. So even if you try to ignore it, you feel like someone says something about you, you kind of take it personally sometimes.
Right.
But I feel like if I feel bad about that continuously, if I let it affect my creativity, if I let it affect my mindset, it's giving more power to those people who are criticizing me than taking control of my own power. So in a way, they win over me, right? Whoever is criticizing me, they win over me. So I just I feel bad for a second, and it is okay to feel bad. I allow myself to feel bad, but then I don't hang on to it, because you know what, it's fine. Everyone has their own views, and that is okay. If it's constructive criticism, I always welcome it. But if it is a judgment about how I look or what I'm wearing, I just feel bad for a few minutes, but then I move on, because you know what, it's okay. People can just say whatever they want.
Do you always ignore it? Have you ever snapped back at somebody, like, because sometimes enough is enough, right? Like, you might have felt so frustrated that you wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah.
So have you ever snapped back? And what is your advice? Like, what is the best way to deal with them? Is ignorance always the right way to move forward? Or do you think these people should be, voiced against?
Initially, I was very fiery. I was like, I have to stand up against this person. He said something so bad about me. But you know what? I realized that they're just so stuck in their ways that me speaking out against them, it just doesn't make sense. In Gujarati, my parents have always said that bhain agar bhagwat na karay. So, it's like people who are just not willing to understand, and if you're trying to make them understand, you are being a fool, So just don't waste your time, just ignore them. Otherwise, they would feel like, wow, she has responded to my criticism, therefore she feels bad, therefore I did something to make her feel bad and I feel great about it. So I don't want to give anyone that control or that power. So I just choose not to address it at all.
So we have few more pictures of you. Should we take a breather and show people that, if you're okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Parth, can you please coordinate on that? Again, amazing.
Thank you.
So, okay, tell me something. What is your favorite part about belly dancing? Like, one thing that you absolutely love about belly dancing, and something that sets belly dancing apart from all other dance forms.
There are so many things I love about belly dancing. Actually, I'm going to mention a few.
Please go ahead.
So the first thing I love about belly dancing is the community that surrounds it. I have so many amazing belly dance friends who have always stood there for me whenever I have had my own personal struggles or my creative struggles or struggles for finding work. So they have been a very strong support system. So that is number one.
Right.
Number two is it's so glamorous. I love designing costumes. I love doing my makeup and things like that. I just feel so amazing and so glamorous. So that's another part. And number three is actually the challenges about learning belly dancing. That really excites me because I've always had that attitude that if I find something challenging, I would always do it. because I just like challenging myself. I just like to know why this is challenging. So I always dip my foot in something which I feel is a little more dangerous territory. So, and I felt that belly dancing was so challenging. And even after 11 years of being a belly dancer, I still feel like there are so many things that are difficult for me. And that's what actually keeps me going.
So would you call yourself the master of the art, or do you think you still have a lot to learn?
I would never call myself a master, because to be a good artist, you always need to be a student. I would call myself as an artist, but I would never call myself as a master, because if I call myself a master, that means I have reached the top, there's nothing else I can learn, and that is incorrect. I always keep learning, I always keep growing. Still, even if I'm teaching so many people, I always make sure that I attend workshops, I learn online, I watch videos and learn from teachers. I've also learned from my students, and there's absolutely no shame in that. So I'll always consider myself as a student.
That's a very unique way of looking at it, given you are already so successful. That's amazing. Is there something that you would like to share with us? Something that I might have not asked you, but something that you would like to share? Like, okay, there's one more question if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah.
So, okay, it's from Vidhi. Hi Dhara, I'm not a professional belly dancer like you, but the one thing I love about belly dancing is the origin of it. I love telling people about the origin of belly dancing. Thank you for giving me that knowledge. Oh, she's just thanking you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Something that you would like to share? Like, if I missed something, some story, some incident, anything related to your life.
You have actually pretty much covered a big chunk about my journey and my life and just things like that. But I just have one advice, which is essential for everyone who wants to pursue belly dancing as a career. First of all, finish your studies. There's nothing in life that is more important than your academics. And even though I have these different careers going on right now, I'm planning to pursue my academics even further. Okay, so my mom always told me, you want to do belly dancing, you want to be a psychologist, you want to be a model, do whatever you want, but finish your education first. And I always thank her for that. So finish your education, and at the same time, try to practice, try to learn more. Again, one of the most important things that's overlooked in any field or in any career is mindset. Having a technical toolbox or having a creative mind is important, but it's not everything, because there are so many people out there who might be better than you, or who might be even worse than you, but who knows how to promote themselves better, right? So make sure that you're having a growth mindset. Make sure you're developing a lot of intrinsic motivation. Surround yourself with beautiful people who can support you in your journey, and just keep an open mind. This term is very overused, but I sincerely believe in that. Just be yourself. That is what is going to take you forward. So
that's an amazing advice, Dhara.